There has been a lot of discussion surrounding the upcoming changes to the care worker visa in 2024, as well as the salary threshold for skilled worker visas. While I initially hesitated to make a video, but due to the abundance of existing content on the topic, I realized that many people are still confused and seeking clarification. So I have broken down these changes into the simplest form possible for better understanding. In summary, last year the UK government issued 1 lakh care worker visa with an additional 120 lakh dependent visas. This means that over 220 lakh individuals came to the UK under the care worker visa category alone. To address concerns about net migration, the government introduced a 5 point plan, one of which involves reducing the number of care worker visas by preventing them from bringing dependents to the UK. It is important to note that when they refer to care workers, they specifically means carers and senior care workers, as indicated by the occupation code provided. Stay tuned for more details in my upcoming video. It is common knowledge that the code 6145 was significant for senior care workers as it marked a change in regulations for this category of professionals in the UK. This clarification is important because it specifies who exactly is affected by these changes. Individuals who come to work in the UK as domiciliary care workers or care workers fall under this category and are affected by the new regulations. However, senior care assistant nurse associates are not included in this category. It is worth noting that if you are already on a care worker visa in the UK, the new rules will not affect you. This applies to those who arrived before the implementation of the 5 points plan or even after. The new changes will only impact those who obtain the visa after the rules were already in place. It is important to mention that care workers under the Shortage Occupations Code 6145 and senior care workers with the Shortage Occupation Code 6146 who are already in the UK under the Health and Care Worker route will be allowed to stay with their dependent family members. This includes the flexibility to extend their stay or change employers within these codes until they reach settlement. Therefore, if a care worker or senior care worker is already in the UK before the immigration rules change but has not yet brought their dependents, they will still be allowed to do so during their sponsorship on this visa. It is understandable that there may have been concerns and rush to bring in family members due to the fear of being affected by these changes, but there is no need to worry or panic as the rules are not as strict as initially perceived. If you are not prepared and don't even have a place to call home yet, it's important not to rush into bringing your family with you. However, there is some good news for those who were already on this path before the new changes took effect. As long as you had your visa prior to the implementation of these changes, you won't be affected and will still be allowed to bring your family. Even if it's 2 or 3 years down the line, the key factor here is that your visa was obtained before the changes came into full force. So having a carer visa doesn't automatically means you can no longer bring your dependents. Even if you obtained it 5 years ago, you are still permitted to bring your dependents as long as your visa was acquired before the changes were implemented. It's important to understand this distinctions. And other important point to note is that if you are already in the UK on different type of visa and decide to switch to a care worker job or visa, unfortunately the new immigration rules will prevent you from bringing any dependents, including parents and children, to the UK. This restriction applies if you obtained your visa after the changes were officially made. For instance, if you are currently on a student visa and have been eagerly waiting to complete your studies, obtain a certificate of sponsorship, and apply for a care worker visa to stay in the UK, you will not be allowed to bring your dependents if your visa was obtained after the changes were implemented. In such cases, it may be necessary to explore alternative routes to achieve your goals. If you are considering relocating to another country or bringing your dependents with you, it is important to be aware of the immigration changes that may impact your ability to do so. If you do not have any concerns about bringing your dependents, then you don't need to worry. However, if you do care about bringing them along, it is unfortunate that once the immigration changes take effect, even if you secure sponsorship job as a care worker, you will not be allowed to bring your dependents if you obtain your visa after the changes came into effect. On the other hand, if you obtain the visa before the changes officially come into effect, you can still bring your partner and your children with you. Additionally, care workers who sponsor workers in non-regulated activities will still be able to continue sponsoring these workers, including extensions to their visas, as long as they are not hiring new ones. However, it is important to note that these are providing providers must be registered with the CQC before the rules changes. These means that the hiring of care workers and issuance of the sponsorship certificate will only be possible for companies that are regulated by the CQC. Lastly, it is worth mentioning that there will be an increase in the skilled worker minimum salary threshold from 26 200 to 38,700. This change has caused concern among many, but unfortunately, skilled workers such as nurses are exempt from this salary requirement. So, if you are a nurse or fall under the exempt category, you need not worry about the increase in the minimum salary threshold. In order to obtain sponsorship to come to the UK as skilled worker, it is not necessary to already be earning a specific amount. However, it is important to note that the job you are applying for should have a minimum salary 38,000 per year. So overall, the rules may seem confusing, but it's important to stay informed. If you want more information, I have created videos discussing the good news for those applying for skilled worker visa in January 24, as well as updates regarding family visa. You can find link in the description. Thank you so much for watching this video. See you in the next video.